Good.
Hmm. Debbie, are you with Gaithersburg Camera Club?
I am.
I just spoke with David today. I'm gonna
Oh,
present.
Dave Oakes.
Yep, Dave Oaks.
I,
Yep.
I gave him your name.
I appreciate it. He mentioned you, so I'm gonna present via Zoom to the club later this year.
Great. Great. Thank
Yeah, so
you.
thanks for that.
See anybody else in the waiting room? This is being recorded, so I will send out
Hello, David.
the link.
Hello,
Yeah.
David.
Hi,
Good to see you.
good, thanks.
I see Sarah.
If you go to the gallery, you can see more
Yep.
people over
Yeah.
at the like, right there. Yep, no one went to the left. There you go. Go to gallery. No, you're almost there. Down. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. You got the Brady Bunch.
There you go.
So we
Is
all.
any
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
good? I was just gonna say, has anybody got any special photos since we last saw each other? No other trips in the last month or so?
I
No?
got some amazing bird shots.
Good.
Fantastic.
Great.
She was
I
good.
like that.
She got a
Where'd you
Harris
go?
Hawk that was just amazing. Like people just don't get that Harris Hawk. He
Yeah.
flew up into the air and you got to track him. You did really well.
Cool.
It was a lot of fun.
All
I
right.
was shooting peonies today,
Ooh.
yellow ones.
Did they have ants on them?
No, they didn't.
No?
But I was in our community garden on Saturday and they had lanternfly nymphs on them.
Oh, I bet.
Ugh.
Yeah, there's some controversy, and maybe Gary knows from the garden center world about the relationship between ants and peonies. That sometimes people say that like each bud gets one ant that kind of stimulates the blooming of that flower, but then other people are saying no, they just like the flavor and it has nothing to do with anything. But oftentimes you'll find pretty big ants on peonies.
If you do spray and you get rid of your ants, they won't bloom. I know that much. I don't
Yeah,
know
so
about
there you
one ant
go.
per whatever, but they
Yeah.
definitely are involved in the process.
Interesting. Well, these were tight buds about 3 days ago, and I knew with this heat they were going to open,
Yeah.
and they all opened. So I was getting some that weren't a little past prime, and I'm going to do some layers and textures with them and
Cool.
see how that goes.
Our peony garden put these little Chinese umbrellas, all of them, so that way they get more shade and therefore they last longer.
Yeah. With this heat this week, everything's opening and
Cooked.
going
Yeah.
like overnight.
All right, so it looks like everybody's here is going to be here. Like I said, we are recording this. Chris is going to actually start us off. He's going to share his screen and he's going to talk about Helicon and do a demo and do focus stacking for us for those when you focus stacking in camera is not sufficient. And then Tom will share the pictures that people have uploaded, and then we'll go back to Chris, and then Frank's gonna tail off at the end with some great pictures. So that's kind of
Quick question, Lisa, you're going to share the recording so we don't have to take notes?
correct.
Okay, thanks.
Lisa, when you say you're going to go back to me, you want me to show photos afterwards? So you want me to go?
Well, you could start off. That'd be fine. Then we don't have to reshare. So yeah,
Okay.
you can do that.
That's
Yep,
fine.
that makes sense.
Just want to make sure I didn't have a different assignment that I didn't know about.
Nope.
So, all right.
Nope, you're good.
So I'm good to share. All right, great. So obviously, those of you that worked with me, well, everybody here worked with me at the retreat, but if you knew me from before, I'm mostly a macro photographer, and that's certainly still the case. But I did take some bird photos with some of you while at Huntley, so I figured I'd share some of those. So this little gentleman here with his adorable feet was on the dock right when we arrived in the morning, and I just like how clean it was, right? Like it's just kind of pure white. You know, I pushed the exposure of the background a little bit, but he just looks so distinguished. I skipped over the macro photo of the bunch. So here, for those of you that were my group when this happened serendipitously, the ant is a little bit out of focus. I would have loved if I caught it perfect, but of course it's on a different focal plane, so that's why it's not completely in focus. But the moment was still kind of cool. But the dine is in focus, and that's what we were, demonstrating. So here I have a little, was that a solitary sandpiper, I think? Red-winged blackbird. Of course, I was using Pro Capture here and trying to get the takeoff, but it took off away from me, and I got the butt in flight, so we get the perched photo instead. And then the morning that I was out there with Tom and Lisa, we saw a couple of herons. So I'm sure some of you recognize these birds. This was at Dyke Marsh, osprey fishing. Another heron. And we've got a heron and a red-winged blackbird, a 2-for-1 special. So this was, kind of the magic of the moment where I absolutely did not expect to get all of this at once, but I wasn't using Pro Capture. It was just kind of luck, but everything's in the same plane. And then everybody probably has a shot like this in their camera roll, I hope, or many of them. But we all know that little baby.
Not everybody.
I don't have,
Not everybody.
Oh,
Well, not everybody has the shot that I talked about with Frank yesterday. For those of you that haven't seen it, Frank got 2 nursing kits on a mother fox with another kit standing by, which is like, all of the magic coming together at once. So he's the only one that got that one.
and
No,
Huntley.
there's two other people that got that too.
Oh, who were you out with?
I'm gonna see if they're gonna respond.
Tom and I also were out there.
Oh, you were? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
didn't share anything, or did I just not see it?
I
We
shared
didn't
it about a
share
month
that.
ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then maybe I
Was
didn't
that
know.
at Huntley?
No,
Oh,
that was at Bombay Hook.
okay.
We met Frank and his wife Karen at Bombay Hook, and we had the really
Oh.
nice experience of having some quality time with the fox.
That's awesome.
I know a lot of people get foxes out there.
So, all right. So, focus stacking a bracketed series. So, I talked about this, but now I'm going to show you how this all works. So, many of you may remember me crawling around on the ground over by the pavilion at Huntley, chasing down a tiger beetle, and I got a few bracketed series of that tiger beetle. So, I was using in-camera focus bracketing to start my focus in front of the subject and then push the focus through the subject in a series of photos. So here are 25 photos, and I'll show you what they look like from start to finish in just a second. I've already imported them into Lightroom, and then I'm going to bring them into Helican Focus and show you how that works. The process is actually fairly straightforward. So this demonstration is not going to be long. It's not going to be complicated, but it may look a little bit easier than it is. So if you go and replicate these same steps yourself and have trouble, just understand that I understand that there are a lot of variables to this. And the main variable is movement from you. Okay. So if you're not stable and your focus is moving more than the camera is moving it, so you're moving side to side or front to back, you won't have such good results. But if you are able to get stable and you let the camera do its thing, moving focus from front to back, it really is pretty simple. So
Two
the first
questions.
step,
Two
yeah, go
questions
ahead.
before you start. One is, was your camera on the ground or just your elbows for this?
The camera was on the ground.
Okay, that
Yep.
helps. And
Yep,
then
yeah,
did you
'cause it was-
cull anything? And if you did cull, I assume, did you cull only from the end or also from the beginning?
Only from the end in this case, and you'll see where the beginning starts.
Great, thank you.
So perfect segue. The first shot, you can see I've started my focus in front of the beetle by quite a bit. And this is something you want to watch out for, because if I had focused right on the eyes, I would have lost the antenna in focus, right? So you can see, now it's kind of behind this leaf and it's like through the bokeh, but it's sharp. It's in focus in the spot. Now, if I go back to the series and go to my final photo, so that was photo number 1, I go to photo number 25, everything is soft in the foreground because it's out of focus. This leg is in focus a little bit, but the back of the head is in focus. So I knew, to answer Lisa's question when I called, I wanted from the front of the antenna all the way to the back of the head. And that's the stretch of focus, or the span of focus, that I want to merge together. And then if we look somewhere in the middle, and I'm kind of randomly picking, so this is photo 14, go forward one or two, probably there, to photo 17. Now we kind of have that single shot that's pretty successful on its own, but it doesn't have that full depth of field that I'm looking for. The mandibles are in focus, the front of the face is in focus, the front portion of the eyes in focus, but then we lose focus toward the back of the head, and of course, the antenna is completely soft. Okay. So we've got all these photos in Lightroom. What I have done, which I won't go through demonstration now, is made very minor adjustments to them. So if I were to look at this photo, we'll go to 17 again. 17, because this one is a good example. And I toggle my processing on and off. So from there to there. So just a slight little boost to the shadows, really. Minor adjustments have been done. And then I apply those same adjustments across the series. So that's just a tiny little adjustment to get the photo kind of prepared. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to do anything, or you could do a little bit more. The point is, we've got a series of photos where the focus starts in front and it goes to the back. And we want to now merge these with helical focus into a focus stack. So I start by selecting all of the images. If you don't use Lightroom, you don't have to do it this way. You could simply open the photos right in helical focus. So there's different ways to get the photos in helical focus. I'm just doing it from Lightroom because I think it's a pretty common workflow, and it's my workflow. I then right click on the set and I say export to helical focus. In the top left corner, you'll see exporting 25 photos to helical focus. This process takes anywhere from a couple of seconds to a few minutes. It depends on how many photos you have. So 25, also based on your computer's processing speed. I'm going to guess this takes about 1 to 1.5 minutes. So you can see it's just about halfway done now. And what's happening now is once these photos are processed and prepared for helical focus will open, and all of the photos will populate in that software, which in a few seconds, many of you probably have never seen that before, but you're about to. And it's on my other screen, so let me pull that over. So here's the interface of helical focus. You have 4 tabs across the top: rendering, retouching, text, scale, and saving. We're really going to focus on rendering, but I'll also bring you into retouching a little bit. So we see on the left side our main rendering window with the tiger beetle completely out of focus, except for this bottom right corner. And on the right side, it says source images 25. And if we go all the way to the end, that's the end. If we go somewhere in the middle, we see the beetle's face in focus, right? So it's the same series that I had in Lightroom. Anything that's checked will be used in the focus stack. So this is one of the ways that helical focus is really flexible and powerful. You can pick and choose what you want to include. So I could have loaded even more photos, or I could decide, you know what, I don't want the first 5, and I could uncheck those. But we also have a lot more control than you would in camera, or you would even in Photoshop. But the really nice thing about it is it's really fast and it's really easy. Okay. So down at the bottom, I have rendering method A, B, C. These are different methods, and there's explanation here if you click the question mark of what's different about the methods. It's just different ways of aligning the images and blending the detail. Okay. So for insects, so it even says works best for continuous surfaces for B, good for intersecting objects, and deep stacks for C. And back to A, provides smooth transitions and preserves colors. So they each have slight advantages. They're just different algorithms. A, I don't really love for insects because they have a lot of detail. And as the tip said, it's more for smooth surfaces. But B and C are worth testing. And because Helix and Focus is so fast, you'll see it's very easy to test one and then test the other. And sometimes you can't even tell the difference between them. Below that, you have radius and smoothing. I pretty much leave them alone as the defaults at 8 and 8, but you can absolutely change them and tweak them and see how it impacts your result. So I have all my images checked. I want to render. I click render. And on the right side here, you see the images being analyzed by the software and then blended together in black and white. And once the black and white render is complete, will transform to color. And I'll zoom in for you to see. And there's the image with detail from front to back. And we can even look over here. So we still have that antenna intact. We have the leg. We have everything that we want. All the tip of the leaf here, where that little cutout is. So everything looks really nice. Alternatively, I'll show you method C. And I want to show you because the visualization is actually a little different. And you'll see that it's a different algorithm running a different process. So a little bit different in the black and white there, how it discovers the in-focus areas and merges them together. But a very similar result. And you can always toggle between on the bottom left here. So this was, there we go. This was the first one with method B. This is the second one with method, with method C. And so what happens, I know it's probably hard to see on the screen share, but this one, the highlights are pushed a little more. I'm getting some kind of halo-y glow. But then with method B, it's a little cleaner. So you have to kind of test each method to see what works best for your image. And then the last thing I'll show you in Helix and Focus is retouching. So let's say I don't want this part of the back of the head in focus. I want it to stop before that. I don't know why I would want that, but we'll use that as the example. I can click to the retouching tab and see how my cursor changes to a circle. That's my brush, okay? And I can decrease the size of it here. I can increase the size of it to a big brush. So let's go like that. And then I can choose any source image, which is going to show up on the left side. So let's grab something where it's like just out of focus, okay? So this area on the left is out of focus, but it's in focus on the right. I can then paint that area in to my image on the right, area by area. Okay, so this is an extreme example, but usually you're doing it in the reverse, where the algorithm found something, didn't find an image that was in focus perfectly, and you want to paint the in focus areas in. And this is going to get really messed up, but I'm going to do it for the sake of example. Let's say I wanted to fix it now. Actually, that would be a good way to do it. Say here, I want this in focus. Now I found a source image that's in focus, and I can paint that back in. But as you notice, it's kind of screwed up, right? This area in here is like a stripe of out of focus. I need to find a different source image where that's in focus. So I go back one, and then I can paint that in. Okay. So you have a way to pick and choose very, very specific areas from your source images and paint them into your rendered image. And then once you're done, you can just right-click on the output at the bottom, say save. When you do that, you'll get a regular dialog box, and you can save your images to wherever you want. And if you were to quit here, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to bring anything back into Lightroom. But if you do save it, that image will be right back into Lightroom. If you don't, you'll get this message that says, are you sure you want to exit without saving? And then it should say no results were returned to Lightroom. So import from Helicon Focus. Helicon Focus didn't return a result. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions about that? Is that overwhelming to the point where you never want to do it, or is it exciting to the point where you can't wait to try? Could be, there are no wrong answers. Yes, Debbie. Nope, you're on mute.
I had to unmute. I was looking online at the prices, and it
Mhm.
looks like they have a light, a pro, and a premium. What are the differences?
Yeah, let me check. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just want to check the differences because I think it's the second tier that I usually recommend to people. So it is,
The pro?
yeah, we go to purchase Helicon Focus. Yes, so the lifetime license for Pro is $200.
Mhm.
And the only difference, because there's a chart somewhere that shows,
On their homepage, on their,
yeah, I've got it here. Here, I can bring it. I can reshare my screen so everyone can see it. 1 second. Okay, so we've got Light, Pro, and Premium. And this chart is really nice. It shows you what each one gives you. As you can see, the Pro package gives you everything that Premium gets except for the remote. So that's a remote control from your mobile device. I have never
oh,
needed that.
okay.
I can't see needing it. So you might as well save the $40. Light does leave some things out, including the retouching tool that I just demoed. So I do find that really valuable.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you got it. I won't run through it now just for the interest of time, but you can also focus stack in Photoshop, and that's called Photo Merge. So if you were to just simply Google how to focus stack with Photo Merge and Photoshop, there are plenty of tutorials out there. It's very simple, but it's slow relative to Helicon Focus, and it is limiting in the adjustments that you can make. So it is definitely not as flexible, but it can yield really good results in the same way that in-camera stacks can yield really good results, right? It's like when it works, and it works pretty often, it works really well. But where Helicon Focus shines is when you need something more, right? You need more photos or you need to tweak the results, then you can do that with Helicon Focus. So that's it.
My experience with Photoshop is it was a little bit less than in camera. It was a little better for like a landscape, or you just wanted to do like 3 points or something simpler. When I tried to do like aid and compare, I found the in camera better than the Photoshop.
I will use Photoshop from time to time, even though I obviously have Helicon Focus. I'll use Photoshop for like 2 or 3 images. Like I want the back of one and the front of another, and then I can just use masks to paint things in and out. So, um, yeah, but a lot of us have Photoshop, so I just want to mention it.
Great. Thank you.
You got it.
So Tom's going to share his screen with images. Is that the first one? Yep.
Yes. Zoom. One. Go. Share. And so, there it is. You guys see that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And just spend a few seconds on it and just cycle through. You want to comment?
No, we're gonna rotate through except for when it gets to just a couple of, I just put some ICM in there that we don't have to comment on. So Frank will have you go first, and then Chris, and then Tom, then me, and we'll just kind of cycle through. But I did throw some ICMs in there just as examples, so we don't have to, we can just breeze through them. We didn't have a lot of pictures, and I thought I would just pop some ICMs in there. So there is that. Oh, wait.
Yeah,
Your sharing stopped. Oh.
There it goes. It wasn't
No.
advancing.
I don't see
I got it.
anything.
I'm seeing a blank screen.
Me
Same.
too. Stop the
Yeah,
share.
so
Do it
it
again.
says Thomas started sharing, but there's nothing there.
Do it again and go right to the one that has the heron.
I'm sorry, it's coming across as selfish. Chris got it.
Still
Oh,
not seeing it. Oh, there.
There you go.
Yep.
There you
And at
go.
the very top, it does have the name of the person, but it's really small.
Yep, it's on the upper
Oh,
left.
that's right.
Oh,
Looks
that's
like
Rob's.
Yep. Yeah.
So Frank, why don't you start, and then Chris, and we'll just all kind of rotate through it. Like I said, if it has my name on it, I just wanted people to see some ICM. So
Okay. So, first comment out of the gate, colors are accurate, composition's good. The thing I look for, if there's water and if it's still, if there is a reflection, to have the full reflection, and Rob obviously nailed it with that. So I thought that was good. The colors are what I can tell, right on. So I know he does a lot of JPEG plus RAW, and I don't know if he's used a JPEG on this or not, but the color, I mean, and again, I don't want to be tooting our own horn, but one of the things with the OM system is regardless of it being RAW or JPEG, I think we have some of the most accurate color abilities with our system. So anyway, it's a good composition, and it's the exposure and everything else I think is right on target.
Is that Chris?
yeah, Chris will be next.
Sure. Well, whoever shot this looks like it says Richard up there.
Yep.
I did not get to see this bird, so I'm jealous. And you know, I'm just gonna try and not give feedback that's like, oh, I really like this or this is really good, right? Try to point out what stands out about the photo, to me, either photographically or from the sense of the story. But this, it's like it has a crazy haircut, right? Like this bird just woke up and shook off the night and it's looking for breakfast. So I think that's really cool.
This is a lovely photograph. This is Karen's photograph. I absolutely love it. I don't mind the tail cut off because the image has impact, and I like the wings are up. The wing closest to us is pretty sharp, and the nose or the beak, not the nose, but and you got a little catchlight in the eye, and I like the position of the beak. The beak appears to be parallel to the lens, and that's kind of what you want when you photograph birds with long beaks, because then between the eye and the tip of the beak, you'll get most of that sharp. And I love the blue, which matches the gray blue colors of the heron. So it's a great action shot too.
Almost has a painterly appearance.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I was gonna say the same thing. Lisa, it looks like it'd be hanging in like a beach motel lobby, right? Like
Yeah,
it really looks like a painting.
I love it.
So this was one of the ones that Frank put in of that red-tailed hawk. So he sat there for a long time, and a lot of us were waiting for pro capture, and then in the end he ended up flying off the back. So it gave us plenty of time to be able to create some of this imagery of this wonderful bird.
Am I up?
Yes.
Okay. The way this is composed, I like this, and this is
Karen.
Karen's image.
Yep.
The thing that's important with this is that it gives a sense of place, and what I mean by that, not telling exactly what it is, but there is a foreground element that's not competing with the main subject, and that is really an important thing from the standpoint of composition. So the exposure on the eagle is tack sharp. I mean, it's right on the. I see details, on the belly, under the wings, and again, as I said, I like the sense of place with the leaves below, but it is not overpowering and it's not taking away from the main subject. So good job, Karen.
Did you, Chris?
Yep. So Karen, is that the same hawk that we saw earlier or no? I don't think it is.
I don't know. This was on one of my many bathroom trips.
I know exactly
They
what it
were
was then, because you said I
birds,
saw
and
a
it
hawk
was
when you went to the bathroom. Yep.
yeah. Literally, I just like, oh, there's a hawk as I walked by from the
Well, then
bathroom.
that's the story, right? This is like always be ready. Like always have your camera with you. You never know what you're going to find. Just on your way back
Oh,
from the bathroom, and there it was. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Beautiful capture.
yeah.
It is wonderful. Love the catch light. This is Richard's shot, and I love the fact that the baby gray horned owls was he kind of jumped out of the basket and back into the basket, and he's kind of looking back at Richard, and it's kind of like, why are you looking at me? And love the exposure. I love the affect of the bird, and it's you got both eyes, and everything looks really sharp from that distance that we were at. Anybody can complain about OM, but I don't see any noise in this image, and I know how far away this guy was. So you did a great job with this. See you, Lisa.
So this is also Richard's. We stayed a long time for this male wood duck. He just kind of sat there preening a little bit and preening, and then finally he looked like he was going to take off. So this is where the pro capture really comes into play, because you would just have had to take in 5,000 pictures of a sitting bird if you didn't have pro capture. And so Richard really pressed the shutter at just the right moment. Duck's looking, right at us. And I like, how low he is, where you get to really kind of see some of that foreground in there as well. It was a hard capture with how far he was, and then that amount of time we had to wait for him to take off. That was great.
Right?
I am jealous, you guys. I didn't get to see this, and these are amazing pictures. Let me see who I'm looking at. Oh, this is a guy by the name of Tom. So I see all kinds of problems with this image, and I would just throw it
Terrible.
away and not spend any more time on it. No, obviously, I'm being extremely sarcastic. I love, again, sense of place. I have no challenges figuring out where and what it's sitting in. But the thing that I really, really enjoy is look at that eye contact. I mean, that is spot on. So, good job, Tom. Kudos to you.
Thank you. Just so people know, this was taken handheld high res.
Oh, even more impressive.
That's
Nice.
right. That's right. Now, see, Frank, if you weren't out photographing, foliage, you would have got this shot.
No, don't rub it
Yeah, geez, Tom.
in.
Oh, no. No.
All right, Richard again. So this may have been a different time than I was there, because I did not see, I guess this is the mother, I assume, to the outlet we just saw in the previous shot. Really kind of statuesque, right? Like just propped up there, overlooking, probably protecting the nest, I assume. Because when I saw the mother, she was in another tree nearby, and the crows were all flying around. So this really kind of brings me back to that situation and what's probably happening here. But yeah, really cool just to have this opportunity to photograph a huge, really cool bird like this.
I have a
What
question.
lens that was?
Sure, Gary.
We were pretty far back from this. This must be really cropped in, and it's still really clear. Is that
That's
is that the
possible.
case?
So with a lot of people, regardless of what focal length you have, right? So he was
Yeah.
probably at 1,000 millimeters with this. You could have 15,000 millimeter, right? And what happens normally is there's diffraction and heat haze, and we kind of see it on the road sometimes, but we don't think of it in our imagery. Here, because of the time it was, and then because it was in the woods, there's kind of not that same level of heat haze. If he had been sitting out like on a branch over the water, you probably wouldn't be able to crop the same amount. It kind of really
Yeah.
varies. It's one of the reasons why we get up early in the morning. The air is kind of crisper. Once that sun kind of hits, you start to get those waves in there. It's a reason why I see a lot of people photograph over the hood of their car. Never use the hood of your car, because all of that heat, even if the car is
Yep.
off,
It's coming up.
that metal, you're just going to get all of those weight. It's going to be really hard to get a sharp picture. And so a lot of people either say, well, you can't crop micro four thirds, or regardless of the system, they come back and they wonder why their images are soft. The difference of like crossing a road, I see sometimes people stop at a refuge and they're on one side of the road, and if they literally just cross the other side of the road for
At
whatever,
20 feet.
well, right,
Yeah.
their picture would be so much sharper. So
Yeah.
that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Because this is like Frank was saying, this is tack sharp. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. This is another
Coming
one
down.
of Richard's, and he caught it just right. He did a little blast off from the branch, and he's got the right shutter speed, and eyes are sharp and good timing, good reflexes. I don't know if he was in Pro Capture or not.
He was in Pro Capture.
He was, you know
Yes.
that? Because
I
I
know that
remember
for
him
sure.
over
I'll
tucked
tell you
away.
the next picture. So.
Yeah. So I love it. And just so people's edification, and I know Frank pointed out sometimes when you're photographing, you're looking at model lighting, and at this point during the day there was a lot of clouds. So it kind of blocked the sun, so it made for really even lighting in the deepest, darkest parts of the trees. So he looks pretty evenly lit.
I love seeing the talons. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
So he was standing next to me, and as I saw the crow starting to mob her, I said, "Be ready, put it on Pro Capture." She very well can get annoyed with the crows and decide to fly. And so when he got the shot, he said, if you hadn't said that, because we were all looking at a bird that was sitting on a branch. We weren't really thinking about Pro Capture, and until the crows really started to mob. So again, like unanticipated action is when Pro Capture is best. If we think something's going to happen, we don't need Pro Capture. But in that instance, there was this feeling. But he got the picture, and I was standing right next to him, and I did not get the picture. So
Was
kudos
he
to him.
do you remember if he was like a single point focus, or was he in a larger
I don't
point? Because
remember
I
what
can't
focal
remember
point.
the denseness, and sometimes single point works well, but because it was moving into an open area, maybe a larger focal
I
point.
don't remember. If he watches this, maybe he'll let us know.
Yeah.
But most of us were on single or small, just because what was
Mhm.
happening is the wind was blowing so much that sometimes you couldn't see her at all, and then other times the wind would blow and you'd have this great view of her. So I'm assuming that he was on a smaller
Yeah.
focal point, but I don't know 100% sure. But I know for sure he was on Pro Capture, because afterward, when he got it, he was very excited having using Pro Capture.
I think that's you, Frank.
Okay. Sorry. This is Rob again, and colors. Look at this, and talk about filling a frame. Yeah, I mean, and sharp. I would be very hard pressed to offer a whole lot of critique on this because it's so right on. Similar to comment, Tom, you made earlier about the tail, that is not as significant in this situation here because it's getting your eye right into the center part of this. And again, also there's a catch light in the eye. And when I'm looking at imagery, I'm looking at colors and looking at tonalities and everything right on target here.
And if you can get eye level with a bird, that's great. And if you can't lay down for some reason, either your body or the mud, flip out that LCD screen and get eye level with the bird. Don't be afraid to use that screen.
It's a back saver.
You got it.
Boy, this must be somebody who's photographed birds in flight before, because this is pretty good. So
He gets some text out
obviously
of the picture.
this is Tom's again. There it is, Tom. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had got this myself, and I didn't because I wasn't as good at tracking the birds, and Tom's much better. So there's the proof. Uh, but I think it's really cool that you have such contrast, right? Like there's clear background, which isn't even that soft, but the color of the background versus the color of the foreground creates the contrast. Where normally people say, oh, you need that really soft out of focus background to create separation to the foreground. Here you just see green and white. And it's very apparent what's foreground and what's background. And that extra depth of field that this smaller aperture then would give you the super soft background is what's allowing to have the front of the left wing and the back of the right wing all in focus at the same time, because that plane of focus is opened up a little bit. So I don't know if it's in here in the file name maybe, but Tom, do you know what aperture this was shot at?
I
Was
mainly
this wide
shoot
open by
at
chance?
5.6.
At 5.6, because you had the teleconverter
Yep.
engaged.
Engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, like 5.6 on a 4/3 sensor has the depth of field of what, f8 or f8 or
Maybe a
9?
little less than that. Yeah.
F8 probably.
F8.
Yeah. On full frame, which you'll hear complaints or criticisms like that's a negative, but here it's obviously a positive because it gets everything in just right.
You know what this reminds me of? You know how your iPhone will kind of make photos look three-dimensional?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
This reminds me of that.
it looks like if you were to like tip the screen, the bird would like float up and down.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. So good job, Tom.
Thank you. Well, this is Karen's picture.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a lovely eagle spreading her wings. I think this might be the female. Wingspan is really, really big. And I think it was you, Sarah, and I think Gary. All three of us were there, and we're just
Yep.
photographing the family, and we were just having a fun time. They were just coming back and forth, into the nest. And it was really, really fun to watch, the interactions. So
Yeah.
I like your exposure. I think it's really, really done well. Everything is sharp, and I think you caught a lucky spot in the trees where the mottled light caused by the spacing of the tree leaves isn't really interfering much with this bird because it's really standing out and it really dominates the scene.
Yeah.
Wonderful job, and the lighting on the white is really good. And that's so hard to do in the lighting conditions we were shooting. So you did a wonderful job with this.
Well, thank you. And what you see a lot in a lot of the photos we're looking at is the background, right? There's not a lot of background noise, and
Yeah.
that's the one thing when I looked at some of my photos is there was a lot of background noise in a lot of my pictures.
Yeah.
So I can just mention that Adobe really mutilates our images. If you look at the same raw file in OM Workspace and you just open it up, OM Workspace is limited usefulness for editing, but if you just open up your picture, look at 100%. And if you look at the same picture in Lightroom or in Photoshop, you'll see that it's much noisier in Adobe. So what Adobe does is it has a really heavy sharpening of the images, which for like my Canon DSLR was very needed. But Tom and I have reset, and I know many people have reset that default to 0, and it really eliminates most of that noise. So you might look at your defaults for how you're importing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think by default that sharpening is up to like 40% or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
It's high.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I, like you, Lisa, have set mine back down to 0.
Yeah.
So is that did you just go to settings and there'll be a default setting for that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because it was the first couple of times I'm like, okay, I'm not even at a high ISO. When I look on the back of the camera, I didn't see noise. Okay, but there's not great resolution on the back of a camera. But I'm like, I really don't think there's that much noise. And then when I did that comparison of comparing OM Workspace at 100% and then Adobe, I was like, oh no, like this is really bad. So that improved drastically the amount of noise that's coming in on the images.
So what was the setting, Lisa, in Adobe?
It is sharpening, and you want that sharpening to be 0 instead of 40. 40 is kind of a very heavy-handed, almost a vestigial from DSLRs, which were needed that amount of sharpening. So all of my default for both Lightroom and Photoshop is 0.
Okay.
I have to confess, I think I usually waited to do my sharpening until I got it into JPEG. Like I think I did everything in RAW except for the sharpening.
But there's a default sharpening, even if you don't think you're sharpening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
I
have
didn't
to,
I don't like the Lightroom sharpening.
yeah.
Same.
Gee, Lisa.
Oh, that's me. Oh, sorry. This is Rob Trex. So, yeah, with as Frank mentioned, when you have a reflection like with the still water, I mean, you almost could take the bottom part and turn it upside down and have this painterly effect. I love the reflection even of the reeds that are sitting there in the bottom. So he's got an action with the feet sticking out like that, the wings back. It just really has caught it at just the right moment. But then to have that reflection and have the still water, a lot of times people go, well, why do I have to get up so early in the morning? The water's still, right? I mean, insects, you have to get up early, but we don't necessarily think about the air quality or the water. You don't always get that in the middle of the day, let alone if the lighting was harsher. So he did a great job with that.
Oh, wow, this is beautiful. Deborah, I really like this. And the obvious is that there's only one portion of this image that's in sharp focus. And
This is one I put in for critique. I didn't take this on the workshop, so.
I was going to ask
That's
you where
okay.
you found it because I didn't
Oh.
see anything like
I
that.
was gonna say,
It-
but it wasn't in the critique album. So sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I
That's
put them
okay.
all.
We can
Yep.
do it
Same
anyway.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We can still.
Well, either way, the negative space aspect, the softness around the perimeter, there's no question about where my eye goes when I see this image, and that's the beauty of it is you want to be able to have your audience know exactly what you want them to focus on, no pun intended or pun intended, and then you can travel and exit from there and travel, out of it from there. But again, just really well done, Deborah.
Thank you. Just the center of a rose. And after I started seeing all the bird pictures, I thought I had a bird picture I could have put in for critique and I didn't. So, oh well.
No worries.
So,
Alright.
since you mentioned it for critique, I love the use of the negative space. We read left to right, so we come in with all this scrumptious, background of the rose, and then we come into this, and then we're left with that softness kind of leading us right back around. So we don't want to kind of get out of the image. So that's really strong. The one thing I would do personally is the very bottom here. Our eyes are drawn to the brighter parts. So I'm coming in, I got all this great light, I come around and I want to kind of continue this way, but that bright part does make me want to look out the frame a little. If you darken
so
it just a hair, not much, but then it allows us just to keep in there and not have anything at the edges kind of pull us out of the image.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can do that very, very easily.
Totally agree.
Right, Tom?
Tom didn't fall asleep over there, did he?
No.
That's just mine. I just wanted to show a pareidolia with a heart I found. So keep going and give Chris the next one.
Before I even saw who took it, I was going to say Lisa would love this one.
People, we didn't get a lot of time to do pareidolia, so I just put that in there because, like, sometimes Rob Trek was mentioning, if you hadn't seen his YouTube video, we were on it on Monday, and he mentioned that, sometimes we all think of like the really big things, and obviously we want a bird and we want a tiger beetle, but we don't always get those things, but there's always going to be a leaf, so, we can always find something. Go ahead, give Chris the next one.
Who's next?
Chris. Yes,
Chris.
Wow, so this is another one from Rob. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would think this was a charcoal drawing, right? So really cool effect that's been created here. I know Rob's not on right now, but maybe if he watches this back or he'll reach out. I don't know if this is maybe done with one of the art filters. I assume so, but really good example of dipping into some of those features in your camera that you might ignore, right? We all have dozens of art filters, and personally, I pretty much never leverage them. You know, once in a while, I'll find myself in a situation where I say, "Oh yeah, I have the art filters," and I usually am glad that I did, which is kind of surprising or may sound surprising because you think, those are gimmicky. What do you need those for? But they can be really neat.
I find like if I go into old buildings that have a lot of old things sitting around, like antique items, that the art filters are really good in a situation like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Ooh. Ooh.
This is Barbara's.
Yep.
Very nice. I like the zoom twirl. Got it right dead center, and I think you got just enough speed and depth of field to make it look interesting, you know, and artistic all at the same time. And I like the tree in the upper part of the frame, and which kind of adds a little you know, ambiance to the image. So you're just not looking at just green. You got some breakup of the scene, which really blends very, very well because you got all the vertical lines of the trunk, which work very well with the with the rest of the green shrubs. So a wonderful shot. I love it.
Deborah, I know you like to use textures too. Sometimes I will use these as textures, so they have like the same lighting, and then I can
Yeah.
just put them over top of something as well. So
Yeah, a lot of times, because I make a lot of my own textures, when I'm in a garden with a lot of color, I'll just take my camera and put it totally out of focus so that I have everything out of focus, and then I can work with that from there in Photoshop and refine it. Or old buildings with paint peeling, or the side of rusty equipment or cars or something. They make great textures.
absolutely.
This is Karen's.
So this is Karen. So it looks like we're entering like the next dimension, like it's gonna be on some science fiction movie. It's really neat that the way this is with that just one focal point that brings you in and in and in. So this one is a zoom, and people ask, like, do you zoom fast? Do you zoom slow? Do you zoom in? Do you zoom out? Like, yes, you know, try them all. And this one worked really well. Very cool. Great job, Karen.
Looks like we're entering a portal.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I see God here.
You've entered the twilight zone.
Yeah.
Well, this is another one from Deborah, just beautifully done. And the softness of it is what's so very appealing to me. But yet you were very careful with your vertical movement to keep it in the same plane. And that to me is a hard part to accomplish. And as said earlier, you know, what's the best speed? What's the best movement? Those are all factors that we as individuals need to experiment with. And I just think you did a really nice job here. Very well done.
And
Thank you.
it's funny, we love, you know, our insects, we're doing focus stacking, our birds, we want them sharp, and those are great. But again, what do you do when you don't have those subject matters available to you? I think I mentioned this in the pavilion, like Jimmy Buffett says it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Well, like it's 1 o'clock or, you know, noon somewhere and the light's not so good, or you're kind of uninspired because the insects are, you know, the birds aren't happening. You can always make ICM.
Yeah. Especially when you're traveling and you're stuck in a group and you don't know it, you know, at a certain time of day, you're not going to get back there. So you have to do what you can do
Yeah.
when you're there.
Oh,
Well, I think we all know this one, right? We saw this out in the field during the light painting portion. This was Rob Trek. this is a combination of ICM and art filter. And I mean, I love it. Like, I don't know what else to say, right? Like, it's fantastic. And this is such an example of he's photographing nothing and he's turned it into a work of art. Like, that's a box with a padlock on it in the woods, right? Like, who's thinking to photograph that? But here's a masterpiece that comes out of it. So really, really cool.
Cool.
Who's that?
So this one, I'm just gonna go quick through this. So this is a little zoom. Go to the next one, Tom. A little bit more zoom. Go to the next one. And then more zoom. So right, like this one doesn't work as well because the head looks like it's not attached. So that's where I was saying, like what speed do you go? People ask me that all the time. Like just play. Like some of them are gonna resonate more, some you're gonna hit the delete on, and that's okay. Just enjoy it and have fun with it. And the ones that work are gonna, as seen from some of the ones that were shown, the ones that work are gonna work well, and the ones like this, you're gonna be like, nope, I know I gotta hit the delete button on it, and that's okay. So just be free, be playful. Okay, you can take that one, Tom.
Right. This is Deb's. Yeah, very nice. You got the white and the green. They're not always in the same color temperature category, but the greens get some light greens and darker greens. Part of that is just due to the sun hitting the tops a little bit more brightly, and then the sun rays doesn't get deeper into the bush. But it really adds some layers to the image. You got the white flowers, and you got the broad green, light green leaves, and then you got the darker leaves, and then you got the zoom, and it got a little bit of a twirl, looks like. So I like how you handle this, and it looks like a fun picture to photograph. I think it's your, Frank.
Yeah. No, this was just a pan that I did while we were waiting for the wood duck. I looked over and saw the light, and then I think the next one's the same. Oh, no, that was back under the pavilion. Go one more. That one. So that was just adding the grasses in. So again, like how much do you include? Do you go faster, slower? You're going to get different effects. Just have fun and play.
Okay.
Frank?
This looks like another Lisa image with some light painting taking place, if I have that correct. This is such the beauty of being able to do what we can with our cameras, and uh, the creative element that you can accomplish with this is just phenomenal. I mean, if anybody else were looking at this, they wouldn't have any clue. They'd probably think we were doing this at midnight and out in this very dark, scary area. But no, it's not. And need I say more? Lisa, great capture.
Just skip that one. That's just another ICM I put in. And then that one, people were asking, like, what else can you do? So that one I'm actually moving the camera during it. Just keep going. I think there's one more.
Title of his wavelengths.
And that was this one is the one where you have to turn one way and turn the other way. So it takes a little coordination. And then I think there's one more, just a little bit more. Yep.
Were those both on tripod, Lisa?
Yes. No, they
Yeah.
were not on a tripod. The only one that we did on the tripod was the Orton effect.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
the Orton one, because you need to do two pictures on top of each other, that one needs to be on a tripod. I didn't see anybody put in any Orton ones, so
Yeah, I think the word effect's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
it makes it kind of dreamy, which is neat.
Yeah.
Frank,
Just keep going now. That's okay. I just wanted to be able to put in a few, so.
Richards.
Yep. But I lost track of who we are.
I think it's Frank.
Frank? Yeah.
Yep. Frank, you're on.
I thought I just did Lisa's. Okay.
Well, you can do this one again. Okay.
Well, this is Richards. And Chris, we got to get you to clean these dimes up a little bit.
No, that's the beauty of it. You see all the imperfections, right?
This is really neat. I got to tell you, this exercise was a hoot. So I had fun doing this with you, and it's sharp on the single plane. I don't know if this is stacked or not, but I'm guessing probably not. That it didn't need to be because of it being in a single plane here, and just nice images. And I take that back about cleaning your dimes. You can leave them dirty.
Right on. So I know that Richard was really excited about this, and as a reminder to everyone, the reason I was using dimes for this demonstration is that they're virtually the same width as our sensor, right? A dime is about 18 millimeters across. Our sensor is like 17.3 millimeters across, so almost the exact same size. And even though Richard didn't compose this with the dime centered, you can see there's about the same amount of space on the right edge as is cut off on the left edge. So that shows us that he's right at that 1-to-1 magnification. So if this was the 60 macro, that means that it's at the minimum focusing distance. If it's the 90, it was probably a little bit further away.
Hey, Chris, how dare you bring dirty money to the retreat?
I know. Yeah.
You should launder it.
I'm known for dirty money. Yeah.
Ba-da-boom.
Ba-dum, bum, boom.
Oh
Oh,
man.
perfect. I get a bug. So this is from Richard. I see some motion blur on this, which it's kind of the Orton effect, right? But I wonder if this is a stack attempt. I think that's what's going on here. Because if you look at the antennas and at the tip of the abdomen, you can see some kind of layering going on. So that's why I was saying it's like there's an effect happening. So I think this is a failed stack attempt, but I'd be interested to hear from Richard what was going on here. Now, just because the stack attempt, quote unquote, fails doesn't mean that the photo does. And I know Lisa loves some of her failed stack attempts because it gives crazy results. But I think that's what's happening here.
But is it generally acceptable because it kind of shows movement?
That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't necessarily, just because the stack fails in the sense of all of the layers didn't align and merge perfectly, doesn't mean that the photo can't still tell an interesting story. I mean, sometimes you'll get a subject that's looking left and then it's looking right and it looks like it has two heads. Like, okay, well, that's pretty neat. It's like a multiple exposure. It is a multiple exposure, really. It's just not all aligned.
Another one of Richard's. We did a very nice job with this. The good news is the caterpillar is on the same focal plane as the camera lens, and he's got it pretty sharp from from the front to the back. A little bit softest on the head, but it's okay. You get the point, and he has just enough depth of field so that most of the spines are sharp, and you can tell what this bug is. But pretty cool. I like it, and well handled with your exposure, and you got nice color rendition. It's done very, very well, and such a beautiful bug that he was lucky to be able to photograph it.
Yeah, Tom, we got the point on that.
I'm glad somebody else got that, Frank.
Frank, that's bad.
Hey, you said it, not me.
So these great for I think you unmuted yourself, Tom.
Oh, did I unmute myself?
I think so. These make for great subject matters, and I think Chris handed these out after the dime of saying, now find something else about that size, whether it's a leaf or a seed pod or something along that line, to be able to kind of put to practice what he had shown with the dime. And I think it's a very effective use of that. I think it's kind of neat with again another pointy subject.
I like seeing things like this and like the dime that they really just kind of hold up on their own. Those were used for demonstration purposes, right? But like when you photograph something just right and perfect focus, like anything can look cool.
And then if you have a few mushrooms that you've been eating, I have put eyeballs in all of those because they kind of look like, eyebrows and eye sockets. So there are times that in those I've put a whole bunch of eyes in there for like a really weird composite in them.
And that just depends on how many mushrooms you've eaten. Okay, that's what I got out of that. Yeah.
There are these really cool mushroom kits that you can buy on Amazon and water them and grow them, and they have the neatest, just the underneath is really cool and great for macro.
That's a
Yeah,
great,
I've seen those kits. I've never gotten any.
They're fun.
that's a great
I
idea.
think Steve Morello, I forget what it's called, but he essentially seeded the portion of the field with mushrooms. Like he spread the spores out to try and encourage mushroom growth at kind of the like behind the meadow in the front part of the yard.
The
So we'll
nice
see
thing
if
about the
it works.
kits is you can put them on a table and you don't have to get down
Yeah,
on the
don't-
Oh,
ground
that's
to
great.
photograph them.
There was something in the news recently about AI, and a lot of people are asking advice for AI. So I guess this guy showed AI the picture of the mushroom and if it was edible, and the AI said yes, and he ended up in the hospital. And I guess afterward he went back, and they came back with, well, all mushrooms are edible once.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Not what we want our AI to have like humor in.
Yeah, exactly.
Need to scroll more. Ah, who's
Back to
next?
Frank.
Oh, okay. This is Deborah's again.
And this is just a plain, it's not photo stacked, it's just a plain macro shot.
Well, you got it at a good, the plane obviously was pretty reasonable to, your camera because a majority of the subject is in focus. I mean, I can see the very foreground, of course, is not, but the center part of it is right on. But this would have been, a good opportunity to do some stacking because I think that would have really came out nicely. Nice image.
We hadn't gotten to stacking yet when I did this one.
Okay.
That lesson hadn't
That's
been.
fair. Yep.
Fair enough. This is Jane's picture. I think you're up, Chris.
Yeah, speaking of mushrooms, right? So I don't know when this was taken. I was not present for this.
So she emailed, she was the one that went home sick
Oh,
after the
yeah,
hotel.
yeah.
And she
Yeah.
said that she did listen to everything you said, and she wanted to put one in to kind of show that she gave it a try, even though she didn't get to be with you.
Oh, well, perfect. I'm glad that I get to look at this one then. So I wonder if this is focus stacked. I think it
Yes.
may
Yes,
be.
she said it was.
Yeah, okay. So, and the way that I'm identifying that, so Jane, I don't think is on right now, but she'll probably listen back to this. So I want to kind of use this to point out something that happens with focus stacking. It came up on the live with Rob Trek last night. Somebody asked about halos, and this is not particularly suffering from halos. But if you look at the blades of grass over to the right, you can see just a little bit of halos around the edges of the tips of the grass, especially the one close to the stalk of the mushroom. And this is where you can kind of take your photos from good to great, or mildly successful, or even slightly unsuccessful to even more successful, depending on where the baseline is. Just a little bit of practice retouching, you can tighten up those edges and really just eliminate the halos. Now, if the halos are extreme, and halos are kind of those out of focus areas that are making the edges look soft, but those are very easy retouches. So that's just kind of a heads up to everyone. Even on that leaf in the foreground, Lisa, I don't know if you can illustrate that. The leaf in the foreground on the bottom left, if you can see that halo around it.
Yeah, I can
Hey,
see it.
Chris, is the halo the
Yes, right there.
is the halo the kind of the light green that you see
Yes.
at the edge? Okay.
You hit Z?
Yeah.
Tell me, I might zoom in. Hit Z. No, I guess it didn't. Sometimes you can hit
Yeah,
Z.
just a tiny bit.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, but other than that, so as far as the focus stacking, like it worked perfectly, right? Like everything's really aligned. I would say maybe a little less flash in this, but I have a feeling Jane's going to say she was, learning how to use the flash and she would have loved to have some lessons on it, but she's using it and I appreciate that. And I also appreciate that anyone's trying anything new. So a lot of you hadn't used flash before, you hadn't done focus stacking before. So I hope that everyone realizes for all of the things that were new that they're not that scary, right? Like you just have to put the flash on and try to use it. Put the diffuser on and try to use it. Move your camera randomly and then see what it does, and then move it randomly a different way. So there's a lot of opportunity if you kind of get over that first step to try.
This is Deb's again. Nice.
This
I
one,
like it.
this
Go
one
ahead.
is photo stacked with, and it's just lichen on a small stick.
Tom missed it. I thought he was gonna say I liking it, and he
Well,
missed it.
Uh-huh.
I said that, 'cause I do.
Give them time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she'll get
thank you,
there.
Frank. Give me time to, the wheels are turning. And I'm a liking it. Um, when I was a kid, I used to go in the woods, sleep out in the woods with my brother and some friends, and a couple times we saw the lichen glowing at night, and it was really really cool. But I don't know if this is the kind it does, but I like the detail, the sharpness, and the little black hairs on the upper right you can see, and on the edges. I don't know what that is, but it looks really really cool. So you really get to see the close up version of what lichen is. So excellent. Colors are great on it. She did a wonderful job. No hot spots, and the colors look really natural.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's this person?
I
This
always
is
love
Carol.
it when we get back all our pictures and we've all just taken pictures of things rather than of people. So thank you for, adding that element in and kind of showing the starburst there that you stopped down and then her on the path. And then that's that wonderful, S that I think, Frank often talks about when you're sitting there kind of looking for where's that vantage point to kind of show what's going on through there. So thank you for adding that in there and not just us having pictures of little things and things like that. But kudos.
Frank?
Oh, this is a
Wow.
good one for Frank.
This is Karen's and uh, the kiss of life. I mean, the kiss of light. This is so what I was trying to look for, and we were so successful and fortunate to catch that light coming right through this area. Karen, really nice job on that. You in the future, maybe just you in post might want to consider just giving a little bit more of some shadow in that center area there, so your eye will travel in. I do have a similar shot that I'll share with you. Kind of, we're trying to get the viewer's eye into that center core area there. But nice catch on that light. That just is so nice. Well done, Karen.
Yeah, that I didn't really like that tree in the middle, but I like that bit of shadow between the light of the tree and the
Yes.
bush. If you read my description of the picture, it was just sort of a Narnia vibe going on there or something.
Well, it's really well done. It's
Mhm.
nice.
Thank you.
That's you, Chris?
Yep. So I also was not here for this, so I guess I wasn't with Richard's group on this. Oh, is this the day when the owl shot was taken, probably as well, right? Flying.
I think this was when they were with me, Chris, because I said let's get a little bit of a selfie also with this shot.
Gotcha. Um, so I think that the hero of this shot is the reflection in the water, but the negative of this shot is the shadows in the water, right? So
Hey,
not the people in the shadows, of course, but I think that this is a candidate for just a different crop because the shadows could tell a story, but I don't think they quite are here. And I think a little bit of straighten and a crop in this photo changes pretty dramatically. But the scene that's captured, especially with the way that the trees kind of taper to the left and right, so you kind of have that hump in the center, and then it's mirrored in the reflection at the bottom. But I am finding myself distracted by the shadows, so unless, again, Richard's not here to explain, he might have said, no, that's exactly what I wanted to tell, and this is why it's great. So maybe that's the case. You can
we
always,
were being a little comedic
yeah,
about this, so that was part of it.
yeah. See, there you go.
The shadow has arrived.
Only the shadow knows.
Yes. Well, that's true. Only the shadows know. All right. Here's another one of Richard's, and he's got some good cloud action. You got the nice reflection off this from the sky, and It's wonderful reflections going on here. Everything's nice and sharp. This they kind of lost a little bit of the sun, but I think it does a nice job. With the his exposures and depth of field. Nice, nice piece of work.
This is also Richard's, and I love the shadow of this particular one. I would almost be tempted to like crop out the sky. The plant is so neat, and then the clouds reflecting in the water, and then the reflection, the shadows on the water there. I love how he just kind of focused in on that and the shadows. The water's so still. Again, I know some people ask, why do we have to get up so early? Well, that's one of the many reasons why we got up early.
Lisa, would you brighten it for the plant at all in some way?
I probably would. I'd probably put a little bit of a radial filter on it and let the center kind of warm up a little, and then brighten up a little, and then feather it out with a radial filter.
I think this is a good example of doing a high res. Frank, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when it's really still like that, high res can work wonderful on some of
Absolutely
the
agree
plants.
with you, Tom. Absolutely agree.
Okay. I think you're up next, Frank.
Okay, another one of Richard. We had the opportunity to travel together at this part of the trip, and this is the attempt at foreground, midground, background, etc., with the layers. The one thing I'd be tempted to do would be to actually hold my camera up a little bit higher so I could see a little bit more of the water area at the midstream and maybe a little less in the foreground. But by lifting your camera up over your head, and as Lisa mentioned earlier, use that screen on the back because it's perfect for these type of opportunities. But again, the composition looks good from the standpoint of being level and so forth. But I think if we could have just had the opportunity to position it a little bit differently, I think that could have been a real winner.
Neat. So we got more people again, so that's nice to see. And where I said I was distracted by the shadows in the last one, I love the reflections in this one, right? So we have the boardwalk, which almost naturally brings you through the scene, and then we have the people kind of above and below. This could almost be cropped in any way, this way, or I could see other crops that you could recompose this scene to showcase the people in different ways. So cool moment and just cool to think to take that photo. Right?
Another one of Richard's. I like the the polarization of this picture. So they got the dark green, dark blue, and you got some, dark and blue, in the water, and you got these shadow people there again. You know, so I think Richard was hard to get in somebody's mind, but he wanted the juxtaposition of seeing the shadows, in relation to the reflections, it's kind of fun to see that. And it's one of those fun shots. You had to be there. But one of the things you might want to consider if you're going to photograph things like this and you want it dark, you can't the on the right side you got some dark shadows in the trees, and he may have gone a little bit overboard a little bit, and he probably could recover some of it, but he's going to be wary of that. And particularly with the blue sky and the blue water, tone the blue down just a tad, but other than that it looks really, really nice.
Tom, if I could add a little color, no pun intended, to
Yeah.
the conversation. I
uh,
did. I remember encouraging everybody to try some of the other art filters, and I
uh,
think
I think you're right, Frank, because I'm starting to see the art.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The shadow people confuse me. You know? No, I can see some of the top of the trees, and I think that's why the trees on the
Yep,
right side look more like cauliflower.
you're right. You're exactly right.
So yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. So it's cool. You know what? You got to experiment, and some of these filters don't work well with every situation. So you got to keep trying until you find which ones work in what situation. So I'm glad he experimented with that. Glad you were
Yeah.
teaching them. There you go.
Ooh, we've got the light rays coming in, which is really neat. So this is another one of Richard's. So those light rays really just bring you right down, like the people are kind of beaming down the aliens, down to the earth here. And then the color tones. I don't know if this is another art filter, but there's some really interesting tones going on with regard to the water and then the reflections of that blue sky on the water. So kudos for being able to kind of play around and be able to sometimes embrace those. A lot of times people are like, oh, I don't know if I like, the rays and that little blue lens flare in there, but in this case, it works.
Yep.
Wow. This is this shot by the frog whisperer? I can't.
So we were Amy got us very easily distracted into the frogs, and all of us at one point were kind of looking into the this little pool with quite a few frogs in it. I think the next one is a similar little guy that was in that pool. Tom, if you just quickly go to the next one. So we were easily distracted by frogs.
Oh, that's a great shot.
And then just go to the next one and then let Chris take that one.
Yep.
Yep.
You go to the next
Oh,
one.
wow.
That,
So
that
is this
so,
Tom's?
yeah.
That's all right. I'll still comment on it because it looks really cool. So Tom, maybe you can answer how you toned this black and white. Was this shot in color or was this shot in monochrome or uh, is it even black and white? Are my eyes playing
Well,
tricks on me?
I'm going to use one of Frank's phrases. Is truth be told,
Mhm.
the dramatic tone. And Frank was with
Okay.
me when we were
So
photographing.
dramatic tone too.
Yep, yep. And I'm glad you pointed out because there are two. And the 8 to 25.
Yeah, it's really
So,
cool.
yep.
And this is another example of something where I don't know that everyone, I'm probably talking about myself, would think to photograph this scene, but it's obviously very successful.
You know what this reminds me of? If you've seen pictures of white sands with the
Yeah.
desert grasses on it, and it has
Yeah,
the ripples in the sand in black and white, that's what it looks like.
it totally does. And I think that that's part of what makes it so interesting is it's
You don't know
almost,
it's water,
yeah, hard to tell as water or land. Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's a split scene for me for a second there. Lisa, you're up.
So this is another use of dramatic tone, it looks like, and I love the way it just hit the grasses and then the tops of those trees just coming up there. It just adds such a moodiness to the image. Again, play around with these art filters because like when they work really well, and it's just kind of fascinating to be able to see the texture that you wouldn't see. And sometimes it can encourage you to even take a picture you wouldn't take, and you have the raw color picture, and maybe later you decide to process the color picture. So I do it sometimes when I'm like not feeling inspired. And sometimes I just leave the wonderful art filter like this, and then other times it at least has encouraged me to take the picture itself.
This is well, I guess I could have figured that one out. So I told him don't push the stop sign over, but he wouldn't listen to me. So if you've been reading about that person who was caught, we have evidence now. So Tom did a selfie of him, and that's the reason why he's going to jail on this. But any event, again, I love the monochromatic of it. It works so well because it's all about the composition, and there's no color to take your eye away from the image itself. So it's a fun way, and if I'm reading the numbers correct, for us to end up on the number here. So kudos, Tom, for doing that. And I'm sorry if I got you in trouble. So I apologize for that.
All right, Tom,
I'm good enough getting myself.
you're gonna stop share, and then Frank's gonna share.
All right. And where does the critique?
Yeah, we'll come
All
back.
right, let me jump through these real quick here. Bear with me 1 second. And let me get the right screen. This is what we want. All right. So,
Hey,
what?
look at us.
What?
Oh,
There
that's
you go.
neat. Oh my gosh.
What are you talking about?
Very good.
Let me see if I can open it full screen. It's not letting me. Anyway,
That's pretty cool.
obviously, this is the shot that we took in the lobby. I just thought it would look better if we put ourselves in that beautiful field that we had out there. So I wanted to just take that little extra effort. And if you'll bear with me at the very end.
Send that to me. I'm gonna make it the new cover of our Facebook group. That's great.
All right, fair enough.
Love it.
So I had the opportunity to a little ahead was is this is Dyke, I think it's called, Tom and Lisa,
Yep,
and
Lake Marsh. Yep.
Dyke Marsh, and we saw this beautiful eagle there, and somebody said, "Well, did you see the little chick or chicks?" And I said, "Yeah, I wasn't sure what they were talking about, but with a little patience, uh, able to catch both of them in the shot here. Well, not both. I mean, only one of the chicks. There's another one in there." But a couple quick shots of, of course, the osprey debating, should I go down and catch that fish or not? And sure enough, he decided it was time to go grab it. And so this was a fun shot just as he was zipping by. Some people like creepy crawlers, some don't. But, here's a little friend that we saw underneath the boardwalk area that we were walking at. And again, timing was fortunate that we were able to just catch that in there right at the same time. Let me see if I can't make this a little
Is
bigger.
that high res? Because the texture's great.
Uh, I think this is. I think this is high res. So yes, to answer your question.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful.
and I don't know if anybody caught this while they were there. This is very abstract E. And if you're not sure what you're looking at, it's a bunch of kayaks stacked on top of each other. So here's my attempt at that light in the trees that we were talking about. And you can see where I was mentioning about trying to lighten it up a little bit in the center so the viewer's eye goes in there. And Karen, I think that was yours that we were talking about. And I moved myself so I didn't have a prominent tree kind of in the dead center. I pulled off to the side. And what I was trying to accomplish was just catching that light that was just kissing the side of that tree on the left there. And that's what really appealed to me. And this is like a natural leading line. If you see there's almost like a path that takes you in there. That this happens to be the same picture that I put all of us in at the beginning of this quick presentation here. Again, talking about leading lines, always looking for examples, whether they're man-made or natural. This was a shot, of course, we know where this is, just walking down that beautiful boardwalk. Little ICM on that, fun opportunities. And that's the beauty we have. If you remember our uh, live ND, I mean, remember that's in there and it can really help you out when you're trying to look for an opportunity like this. And this, Lisa's was a little more specific to a bunch of them with the light painting. But I wanted to kind of get underneath and focus just on one and have a little bit of light bleed up in the upper right, just kind of pulling through on that. And of course, if you see something like this, you want to catch it. And if you notice at the very top, the piece is reversed, that's kind of laying out there. I thought that was kind of unique. I've not seen that before, so I thought that would be fun to grab a shot of. And for those of you that went with me into the town area, we were planning to do a fair amount of walking around, but we ended up not leaving this church area. It's called Christ Church. And we talked about different opportunities with exposure bracketing and so forth, which is what this is. That's how I was able to get the detail that you see in this image. We talked about looking for, repeating patterns, and again the fence, which I don't know if it's really a fence, but I guess it is beautiful brick that kind of just leads your eye down the walkway. This is high res again, and for me, one of the reasons I love it is it gives me less noise, gives me higher dynamic range, and gives me higher fidelity. So I'm always on the hunt looking for opportunities like this. We went out into the ground area there where there were these historic cemeteries that were in there, and the monochromatic I thought on this one just would work well and fun. So we were doing some experimenting with that. But the inside is really where the tricky part was. And this is, I'm trying to remember, I think it might be a 5 image exposure bracketed image, because there was such bright light outside, but very, very dark inside. And of course, handheld. And the woman who was in there was just so nice and allowing us to kind of have free flow in there. But this is the compositing of those exposure bracketed shots. But when doing things like this, I try to emphasize the fact that your perspectives just to me need to be so very accurate, because in a wide angle shot like this, it'll stand out like a sore thumb.
Frank, could you have also shot HDR in there?
That's the basic. Well, I don't use the camera's
HDR?
results. I use the bracketed shots from
Okay.
our system in the camera, and that's exactly what I did. Great question, Deborah. Great question. That's exactly how I pulled this together. And my settings on that were there were a total of 2 exposures over, with 2 stops in between, and the same thing in reverse on the underside to get me the full dynamic range that I was trying to accomplish here. Good question.
Frank, how are you blending the exposures together? Are you using, are you merging the photos automatically in Photoshop? Are you
Yep, I'm
masking
using
them?
either Photoshop or Lightroom, and again, I'm finding more and more success using the algorithms within Lightroom. I don't typically have to go outside of that, but sometimes I will. But
Okay.
great questions. And then to be a little artsy fartsy, if I see water and I see some, a little bit of movement and I see color, did I add some saturation to this? Yes. And I think where I shot that was actually this location here. It was just a little bit of body of water off to the left-hand side where I captured this image. And again, allowing ourselves to, be creative by being curious and finding those little opportunities. So does this look familiar? And and Lisa knows this, and Chris and Tom. This is kind of my location, my Achilles heel in this body of water. Right below that little bush there is a polarizer filter that fell off my lens, and so if anybody's in there and they happen to see it, it's yours for the taking.
Could have asked Kiska.
That's right. So here's again similar location, but the fact that I was able to capture 2 of the egrets there with the beautiful reflections in there, that I was trying to pull that together. And just like everybody else, I have to play with that dramatic tone number 2, and it's a favorite picture of mine. So anyway, here's the original picture that I put in there. But I do want to share something with you guys, and if you'll allow me just 1 second to see if I can't minimize this. Bear with me 1 second here. I may have to stop sharing and just share. Just if you'll bear with me 1 second here, I'm going to pull the plug on that. I'm going to reshare. And if I can get this to work, I think this is what I want. And if you'll allow me a little humor with this, you could tell we were having fun, but it's really fun to see ourselves laughing amongst each others. And
Oh my God.
I'm kidding you to say that that's what I photographed, but that's a little helpful from Mr. AI. And I just got the biggest, I laughed every time I saw this. And I can't stop laughing every time I look at it.
Oh
So
my God.
Now the people in the back are trying to figure out what is the joke.
but
Wow.
you have
I
to
love it.
admit, It's
love
pretty
it.
darn
I've
hilarious.
been able to get like Chris's hand out of his body. How? I don't understand this.
I have to say, I've mostly seen this with like old pictures of people that are dead now, and it
Yes.
really freaks me out. I like this
Yeah.
much better with people still alive.
Well, I thought I would just share that, just throw a little
That's
humor
good.
Really cool.
in there.
That was
Thank you,
great.
Frank.
Wow, Frank. Keep pushing us technology. All right, and Tom just has there was somebody they asked for critique in addition to Deb's, which we had in the wrong folder, but he does have one more thing. You gotta do that and then share. Yeah, there you go.
If anybody would have been here while I was doing that AI and listening to me laughing, wondering what the heck was he looking at?
When we used to do weddings and we'd have to mask in, and if you put the layers
Oh.
on, you get their eyeballs turning on and off. So I've had those humorous moments.
That's what the neural filters are for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
saw an interesting, I was on another webinar today, and there's a new feature in Photoshop that's in the new, oh, what do they call that new?
The beta?
No, it's in
Oh.
regular Photoshop, the contextual toolbar.
Yeah.
And you know that
The
picture that we had
actions.
there of the, it almost looked 3D of the osprey.
Yeah.
It's a new rotate filter in Photoshop that you could have taken that and literally turned that osprey. It was really
Oh,
a
wow.
really new filter in
You're gonna have to
Photoshop.
try that, Tom.
I've experimented with it. I've had some success but I think I've had more failures than success with it.
They were using an inanimate object like a piano, but they were just turning it and at different angles in the room, and it was really interesting to see it.
So this is I don't know who's this. Whose is this for critique? Do we know?
Gary.
Oh, Gary. Okay, perfect.
Oh, it is?
Yep, it was in the critique folder with
Well, we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
critique it now.
So
Um,
I'd like to start out with just these two. Photographing a bird leaving the branch takes timing. And Gary, I think you nailed it. He was getting ready, he spread his wings. Sometimes they'll spread their wings just to kind of stretch themselves out like people, then they put them back down. But you caught him just as he was leaving the branch. And I think we're on ProCap, if
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
that's right.
So that really, really helps. Your exposure is well handled. And you got the white looks white and the black looks black, and the underside of the wings is not quite black. And it's not going to be in real light, but it's got the darker tone, so you handle the colors and the tonality well. And everything is sharp, and you got the peak action, and that's important, for a shot like this. So anybody else want to step in?
I
I
just like
guess
the talons grabbing onto the branch, and like you can see that they're about to launch off as the bird takes flight.
the one thing I'd consider, Gary, is that typically with an image like this, instead of having a dead center, and I realize when you're photographing, that's probably how it's going to be. I wouldn't suggest, trying to alter your process there, but I'd be tempted to take from the lower left-hand corner a crop and pull that up towards the eagle, keeping the same perspective. And that way, too, there would be room for the eye to travel into the image as in the direction that it would be flying into. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's a wonderful shot. It's a beautiful shot. And again, if I were shooting it, I'd probably be, having it centered like that too, and thinking to myself, what could I do to enhance it when I got back to my computer? And that crop might be something you may want to consider. And it would also minimize the bright spot just below the eagle, because again, our eye typically goes to that brighter spot. So I'd be tempted to, help mitigate that, and that can be done through the crop. Beautiful image, though.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes our image sharing. Are there any questions? Continue to, please post on the Facebook group if you have questions. Certainly feel free to utilize that as well. I know not everybody edits at the same pace, so we'd love to be able to see things even later on. So please feel free to continue to put images up there.
So not just from the retreat, but others.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sure. Anything, anytime.
Yep.
I have a question. So when we were doing the light painting,
Mhm.
I could not remember what settings we used. And so when I tried to play around with it at home, I know I couldn't get it.
So we did send out the settings. I did a real snapshot of Tom's, Chris's, which he gave out, Frank's, and mine. So there is something in there. So what you basically want to do is you want for daylight, which is for light painting during the day, is you want your base exposure to be underexposed. So that way the flashlight has room to be able to add to the scene. So I'm usually at a really low ISO. I'm usually at a really narrow aperture. So it's letting less light in. And I want the first exposure to be pretty dark. So when you do that first with the live composite, you press the shutter 3 times. The first time to freeze the ambient light. And then as soon as you kind of start on, if the image is very bright at that point, like just stop it and then decrease, change your settings to make the first exposure so it's really dark. And then always light paint from the side, never light paint from the camera.
Okay. And how did we get to live composite? That was what I was having trouble
So you
recalling.
go to B on the top dial for bulb, and then there's 3 things under bulb. There's live time, which everything will continue to get brighter and brighter. So it can be useful for like some waterfalls and streams and some fireworks. And live composite, which freezes the ambient time. And then there's bulb, but there's no point in using bulb because it's basically making your camera into like an old-fashioned camera and you can't see anything. So there is no advantage to using straight bulb. It's either you want to use either live time or live composite. So live time is the one we did where everything got brighter and brighter and brighter. Live composite is the one that you're kind of cooking your brownies in the glass oven. You get to kind of see it kind of cooking and decide oh, this is just the amount of light that I want from my flashlight or my scene.
And
If you have a really
does anyone
old camera, sorry, if you have a
Camera-
really old, I think everybody had OMs, not EMs. We have a really old one. Live composite's been at least 10 years, maybe longer. But the older cameras, you had to go on manual and then dial down to bulb. But we have a true B.
Yeah,
Chris,
what I was
it's
going
camera
to say,
2,
Lisa?
Karen, it's camera 2 and it's purple. So you got camera 1, then camera 2, and that's on number 2. That's where you can find bulb time. You just kind of scroll.
Well, that's for the settings for bulb,
Mhm.
but were you asking how to change the settings or how to activate it, Karen, or both?
Yeah.
Both. I
Little
was
both.
playing
Yeah.
around with it, and what I could find, I was just not getting. I couldn't get it to like bits to light up at a time like we did with the flashlight.
What do you mean not light up? Was it too bright or
Like when we
too?
were doing the flashlight, and we could slowly, as you shine the light, it showed up onto our
Yeah.
yeah, so
LCD.
that would be the live composite. So after you freeze the ambient light, so one shutter, the next one will say ready for live composite, and then you'll be able to see it start. Maybe you didn't press the shutter enough times.
Okay, thank you.
And God forbid, I just saw this. Some of the others on this call may have seen a post recently on a Facebook group. Make sure you hit the shutter button to stop your live composite, because somebody spent 2 hours photographing the star trails and they were watching their LCD and they said, "Oh my God, I got it." They turned the camera off. Well, they ruined the live composite.
Yeah.
So, was that you, Lisa, that
That
posted
was
about that?
Tom. That was Tom. And it was during COVID, and he had not one plane trail in the image,
Right.
which never happens.
Well, let me just say, I'm a morning person, Chris, and it was 2 a.m. Lisa's a night person, and my battery was dying. It was flashing red. So it's a good fish story.
Yep.
That's all I can say. It
Now
gets
we know
better
the
the more it ages.
Now we know the rest of the story. We were wondering who that guy was.
Uh-huh.
And Chris
So,
is trying to be so polite,
yeah.
you know, so nice, but really it happens to the best of us. You get tired, you know, that's when you need to slow down, you know. But if the camera battery dies, it's just the same as you just turning it
Shutting it
off,
off. Yeah.
you know, and so just you just stop the live composite, and then when that's done, it's only a moment, and then you can turn the camera off and change your battery, lickety split, you know. But if you're tired, just remember, slow things down, because you move too fast, you know, good things do happen.
It's actually a really good plug for our Vermont retreat. So we
Yep.
are doing a night retreat. Sarah is signed up for
Mhm.
that one in here. And it is really neat to be able to kind of be out there and be able to see on the back of the screen. Before, like when we had a DSLR, Tom being not a night owl, like it's kind of boring to stand there for an hour or two and you just have a black screen. So this does kind of keep you engaged. You can, if you're light painting, you get to see it as the earth is moving, you get to see the stars. And we have picked a time where we're going to have a new moon. So we have the Milky Way coming up in one direction and we have the North Star in the other direction for the star trails. And we have some really nice things that we're going to light paint. So we're going to show like how to do the Starry Sky AF and how to do some of that live composite. And then Frank's with us on this one. So we're also going to do some waterfalls and Vermont type landscapes and things like that as well. But we will not be getting up early in the morning because we will be out late. So no sunrises.
And we will have breakfast on
Yes.
site, which would be nice. And coffee.
Oh, Chris, thank you. Chris put
Yes.
into the chat a cropped version. So yeah, it really does make a difference. I think as Frank mentioned, Gary, that sometimes capturing it, like we do kind of tend to center things, but certainly having that ability to put it in a little bit more of a dynamic, one of those tic-tac-toe points to be able to have a little bit more impact. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Sure. Does anyone have any questions for us before we part? Thank you all for sharing your images and spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you. And Tom, thank you for helping me with that lens issue.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.